Welcome back to the Spit Out. I'm Jefferson. Alongside me, as always, the one with all the holes in his game, Swiss Cheese, and we're the disc golf world. Talking about the first major of the season. Just finished it up.
There's a lot to talk about.
I think there's one main thing to talk about and a lot of different avenues on where to go from there.
Sure.
Well, I think everything pretty much surrounds the Kristin footfall situation,
For sure.
if whatever you want to call it. I think the first thing I want to do is, from your opinion and the perspectives you've seen shared across every social media platform disc golfers are on, what is the consensus? Is it a footfall or is it not a footfall?
I think it's like overwhelming. People feel like it's a fault and like acknowledge that it's a fault. Like, I think that argument has been like already thrown out.
People are saying it was a footfall.
A footfall, yeah.
But I still see majority of the people that are calling it a footfall are also saying that it shouldn't have been called in the first place.
Yeah, that's where you lose me.
Okay.
You know what I mean? No, it's either like, man, I don't mind being the like rule police, but then using it and like saying like you should not make calls or take away stuff or do this is like, you can't have it both ways. You can't be calling for officials on every card, rule verbiage changes, you know what I mean? Getting rid of jump putts, like going as drastic as all that, and then like being like, yeah, you can't make that call. You know what I mean? Now, I also think you can't make that call. I want to make that clear. Like, you can't make that call. You as a marshal you're not there to make that call.
Mm-hmm.
You're there to be the second. You're there to be a judge.
I think that's the whole conversation too.
Yeah.
There is not usually marshals at the typical DGPT event. So there really is 4 events every year where we consistently see like PDGA brought in marshals.
Yes.
So I don't think that there is a lot of precedent on what to do in situations like this. So I'm sure even in that guy, when he saw something, he's going to be jumping at it.
Oh, he jumped at it. Like,
He did, yeah.
Like, I can't,
we're in that situation too. Is like you're on hole 16.
Yeah.
It's coming down to the line. You see someone hit the disc. I'm sure his heart is on the floor, and he's just making a decision. Was it a good one?
Within a
Probably
stroke at
not,
that point.
but it is funny how many people are mad at him, even being proven right.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I still think. Like, man, you guys are doubling down, even though he was right. Like, if I was him, I'm fucking, whoa.
And let's be real. That guy had a missed opportunity of like standing on business and be like, nope, I saw what I saw.
That's where he messed up.
Yeah, that's where he messed up. And he would have been proven
is.
right. And everyone would be like, the dude like said it with confidence. He believed it. And instead, he rolled it back on the fairway and
allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly.
I'm assuming Kristin's not going to be lying here.
Yeah.
Right? But
allegedly. Yeah, but everyone's story in that situation is like twisted. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It'll be interesting if somebody gets him on.
I have seen heard calls for the PDGA should address this and I don't know what type of way it needs to be. I've heard something about apologies, but I don't know if the organization can come out saying, yes, our official was correct, but he shouldn't have made that call. That's not something they can.
Yeah, how do you do that and
out?
Not punish that official also? Like, no.
You can't really, There's nothing the PDGA can do at this point. It's happened.
That's silly to even try to bring that up. Yeah, that's the problem with it all is that that call should not have been made. Was he correct? Yes. It's unfortunate. Did it dictate the game? Did it change the game? People will argue yes, but truthfully, we don't know. Like, that's the other craziest thing. So that's why it's like, I don't know. Like, I don't get attached in those situations. I think like we're fans of like players, but it's like we kind of root for like the best story. And like, I think, so it was never like, I didn't have an impact as like, obviously others did. Like, it was just like,
we know how many Kristin fans are out there.
Oh,
so
yeah.
They're always going to ride or die with the people that they like the most, with her being like the number almost one person fan base. So obviously there's going to be a lot of people with emotion invested in that.
I think we should also acknowledge, like, and you're probably getting to this and I might be segueing too early, is like Kristin's reaction to this is like kind of unlike Kristin in a lot of ways. Like, Kristin is the like, past is the past, don't lose focus, da-da-da. And for her to like acknowledge it, state it, creatively present it in a way that she's saying like I'm pissed, like, you know what I mean, is kind of a bold statement for the number one player to do. And I think that's kind of bold in a way, like, and I respect it. It's not like bold as in criticism. It's like, yeah, like if you feel this way, you are a premier player, say it.
I'll say the first thing that I even asked you after reading that was, did you feel this was any type of like a warning of, so to speak, of like, hey, I feel as if I was wrong. This is something that's been a recurring situation. I'm not being treated in the way that I feel as if I'm being treated. This is like what I'm reading into this, obviously, but it feels as if it's like, hey, I'm putting my foot down, almost like figure stuff up. Like, let's figure this out.
It kind of felt like professional coaches like complaining in a way to get future calls. Like, you know what I mean? Or like highlighting like something to get like, hey, this can't continue. Or, hey, I was silent on this one. Now I'm, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like,
and I don't think anyone's going to make any sort of questionable calls on Kristin for a very, very long time.
No. And yeah, it's going to work, especially at a major. And like, so yeah, in a way you flex it. And I get the argument of like, that's so... also the argument of like there's no advantage there, it's it's too close, like all of it. Yeah, I get it, and it doesn't feel right. And I think this does highlight the need to change verbiage, not on just this rule, on the whole book. Like,
well, they did kind of this recently. They did a whole trying to make it easier to read for the whatever.
Just made it more confusing. Like, but like I think you need to do that, and then I also think there should be some type of other professional rule, like, you know what I mean, as far as a pro lineup or a tour rule book or something along those lines, where you stretch it to where it's less cloudy, or you try new things. Like I think that was the other interesting thing that we kind of discussed on this is like, where do you go, right? Like, and we kind of talked about like people have thrown out like standstills, you should do this, you should do that, and like everything along those lines. And like, hey, I want to test it. Like, go ahead. Like, I think like I'm willing to entertain this thought. There's nothing like that I'm willing to say like, yeah, we shouldn't do that unless it's like just silly. But like, test it. Let's do standstills. Let's do this.
I don't think people are going to be on board with a lot of that stuff, though, because they don't want to test it in the grandest of tournaments where you're going to be putting players where I'm sure there's going to be plenty of players feeling as if they're in a disadvantage if you're saying, hey, this is a no run-up zone, even if it is just a testing of situations. That's where I feel like almost we had the Silver Series, we have the Q Series of Sense. That's more where I would like to see things that are being experimented, worked on. Okay. Now, I want more attention to it. I don't want them to just say, screw it, go do it. I want there to be actual testing of sorts. I want there to be people on the PDGA or DGPT staff looking at it, asking questions, just noticing, like asking players, like, yo, is this something that should be seen moving forward? Do I think any of that's going to be done? Probably not. I think we're going to just keep doing the same old, same old. I don't even think moving forward we're going to see a change in the Marshall situation, how that's being done. I think that's questions that are being asked all over of, hey, why is this not on every card? This isn't fair. This isn't equal. Where I don't even necessarily agree if that's true. I don't think that there needs to be one on every single card to be a thing in disc golf.
No, and I think it's also funny that like a lot of the people that are like making these comments didn't know of a Marshall. Like, you know what I mean?
I'm sure, yeah.
So like this is kind of goes to where like our communication skills and presenting stuff, and like, you know, where every other sport is like presumed, is like known, like we have to spell it out and we have to say it and we have to show it and like we have to acknowledge it. And I know they're out there wearing PDGA stuff or DGPT stuff, but it's like, it'd be kind of like highlighting and showing it helps. And like to show that they're there, to show that they're part of the process is acknowledging it. And then like, so then when there is stuff like this, it's not necessarily like it's so shocking or jarring as like, whoa, who are these guys? Where'd they come from? What's going on here? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because there's also like de facto DGPT marshals like out there also.
And I like when the PDGA does come in to bring marshals in for the majors. I think that's one thing that can have these events separated from a typical 4-day tournament that we see on tour. I think that this brings a little bit of prestige. This actually shows like, hey, we're the PDGA, we own these, we're going to step in and show you guys this is a legit event in our sport. I think there's plenty. I think we're at the very beginning steps of that. I think Marshall's is beginning. I think that there's plenty more that we can do to make it seem more important, like having someone walk players from the practice area to the actual green, where we don't have, who was it that was just this weekend, ask for an autograph either right before they're at the tee off or during around somewhere, like stuff like that. It was just simple ways to be like, hey, we're going to take care of you, where I know that maybe this isn't as easy to do at every weekend events. And I think Marshall's is a good way to be like, yo, we're going to put the focus first on the actual play. And I'm going to have it on lead and chase card, because let's be real, most of the time we see those, they're the only people that are actually in contention and are going to be on camera. So at the very least, it's kind of funny to say this, but we're going to make sure everything, all the situations on camera don't have issues. Now, it doesn't seem to always be the case, but I do like the appreciation of, look at, we're going to try to put forth effort.
Yeah, and I wouldn't mind like even having like a Marshall kind of walking with catch cam. Like, because then they can dictate fans as much as they're kind of dictate OBs, spots. Like, you know what I mean? And have like be part of that process also.
And okay,
like being ahead of the action.
Yeah. And even just being optics and being like, you have everything covered.
Yeah.
You can go to your second person, like, dude, do you see something? And even if they don't, I was an umpire very early on in my life. And that was like one of the first things they talked about is like, if you're going to go in a huddle, you're going to like, the first thing you're doing is you're not even talking about the plays most of the time. It's like, hey, this is how we're going to handle the situation. So the least amount of like drama can go around with the fans, the players, or whatever, and then we're gonna make the call and we're gonna make it with our chest. Yeah, and that was another thing that happened wrong here. Is by yourself, you're gonna back down on the call. You're gonna say, I don't know. Oh, the whole situation, I'm not seeing things, and then that's where the integrity of the marshal making the calls is questioned.
That wasn't the only example of supposedly quote unquote being wrong. Also. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Drew had his own incident.
Which I think is going to go completely under the rug unless he has a whole video on it, which I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, but for the most part, it was only in an Instagram comment section.
And I think there's this dichotomy between pros and the officials where it's like, hey, you can't tell us this is this huge event and not act accordingly. Like, there's got to be some level of professionalism and expectations that you as a pro are going into that event trying to have. And that's what I think is... that's what's fucking dumb about this whole process is like there's just such that divide when it comes to things like this and like little stuff like that. But like I think you're right. Like if I'm the PDGA, essentially what I'm doing is I'm circling the wagons right after this. We're gonna have a meeting and we're gonna say, okay, next major, how can we show we're out there? Mm-hmm. Like you said, like get out there, be present, let people see you, and you don't even really necessarily need to do anything.
Yeah. It's funny that you're saying that, too, because Brody, I didn't listen to the whole tour thing, but I saw the title got me, man. The title drew me in, where they said something about like the PDGA was absent from this major or something, and they made comments of something around the lines of top PDGA officials weren't on the scenes and the grounds for the major, not getting the help that maybe they necessarily wanted or needed for the event. So I really hope that moving forward, we put a super hard attention to every single detail possible.
Who said that? Like the TV?
Brody? I'm pretty sure it was Sean Jack was on. He was on Staggered Stance and made a mention. They asked if Phil Deloney, because he's now part of the PDGA because they were co-workers. Yeah. And he made a comment if Phil was there, and then Sean said it would be nice if he was here now or something because he was just getting into town like the day of the press conference or like the president's conference. So he wasn't there, and he is, I forgot the actual title, but he's something to do with like the tournaments and like on the course stuff. So
I think he's like events guy or something. Right?
And I will say when I first heard it from Sean, like Sean Jack on Staggered, I thought it was more like a playful joke, and I think Brody more took it seriously. Okay. Now I don't like that's up to interpretation on each person, but it was funny at least to say out loud. Like I just thought it was an interesting conversation, especially with how Brody has talked about the PDGA being at majors and maybe not doing as much as they say they're going to be doing. Yeah. So yes, that plan of how can we do the best possible for optics wise? They should really figure out a plan.
Yeah, and no, for lack of better terms, you need to be assholes and elbows all 4 days. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And even before there.
Well, the best thing about
Like,
it for them,
always keep it moving. Like that's
Yeah.
like if I'm in charge and I'm like, you know what I mean, and I'm like talking to these, I'm huddling up, and it's like, keep moving.
Mhm.
Like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
nobody grouped together, everybody spread out, keep moving. You don't really have to make a decision. You be there is enough, and then like you step up when needed.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And funny enough, maybe that's what that marshal thought he was doing, and
Yeah.
totally backfired. Totally bad.
I feel like-
dude, like man, all right. This is also my other funny part is like everybody wants to acknowledge like, oh man, like everyone goes to extremes about like, oh, this is what makes our sport a joke, and this is why we're sorry, and this is why this is. No, guys, it's really not that. What it really is something fucking happens every week, whether it's OB or a volunteer having a kick in a disc, or it's a major blow up of some sorts, which has happened at least every year, or it's like, you know what I mean? And that's the stuff that makes it kind of silly, not the fact that they don't have officials or the players are governing or this. The players are, in all honesty, I trust the players more than a marshal as far as rule book knowledge. I'll say that out loud. I'll say that out loud. Yeah, I will say.
Which is kind of embarrassing because the marshal itself should know all the rules.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. But we're kind of like viewing them as like professional umpires here. But like in all honesty, like they passed the test, and who knows what percentage you needed.
I would hope he gets more than that. He's like on staff at PDGA, but
yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure that sure. I'm sure you. Well, yeah, I'm sure you passed the test. I'm sure you had a background check. I'm sure like you had to like sit through some type of training, you know what I mean? Conflict resolution or something like that. But like deep down, rule book acumen, I trust a number of pros over like rule book acumen. Like I'll take Drew Gibson in a rule book decision. Like he's got to be like top 2 or top 3 of my picks to be like, hey,
that's real high.
Like, yeah, like if I had to phone a friend about a rule, I'd be like, hey, Drew Gibson, ding, ding, ding. I really don't have his number, but whatever.
I do. I got
ring,
it.
ring, ring. Hey, Drew, tell me about this rule. Like, you know what I mean? And like Drew would be like, paragraph 5, line 4. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but so. And that's what's funny. Like, so yeah, man, like you just got to be there to second. You got to be there to like cool heads and work crowd. Like, that's it.
I want to transition to something where I thought that it was actually good from the PDGA before they were catching all of the flack. Now, I'm not sure exactly why they posted it. I have a big hunch of why they posted this article about Cupcake. However, it was weird how it was already completely almost felt written, like ready to go be posted at the time of, if you guys haven't seen it already, Drew Gibson's post of Cupcake or Jacob Cordes' long-ass putting routine, where I think it was over a minute at one point just to go over the top and then take another minute to secure the par. So that was good at least. But then Drew turns the camera and congratulates him on the putt. That was, I would say, questionable, especially posting it on social media. That was like, yo.
It wasn't live, right? Was it?
No.
Okay,
It was just
I
like
just
a
wanted
post
to make
after
sure.
the
I
fact.
didn't think it was live, but I just wanted to make sure you didn't do it live.
I don't know if you post that. I'll be real.
I wouldn't.
I'm a guy who makes questionable jokes, and I will say I don't know if I'm posting that.
Like I might share it with my buddies, but I'm not posting.
That goes in the Snapchat group chat, but
Yeah,
like, that's
like-
not going on my personal Instagram. But the PDGA did quickly, I'm pretty sure it was the next day, release an article called "The Case for Cupcake," which it was basically talking about cupcakes and getting the yips and performance anxiety. They actually talked to an actual therapist. I can't remember if there was a specialty on that or not, but talking about what like the yips is and how it actually is something that's like, I don't know like how to explain it, but you know, it's like it's a legit thing that's like Cupcake goes through, and during his routine, it's not an intentional, like he doesn't know that he's taking a minute, like there's something in his brain like resets the time. Really
Gotcha.
smart article. Go read that, because I'm butchering the hell out of this whole thing. But basically it was trying to make like a case for like, hey, don't be mad at Cupcake because this isn't like,
He is
all his
working
fault.
on
Yeah.
it. Yeah, like it's not
Well,
like,
even the thing where he like talks about where it's like it's hard to work on because like in his like he doesn't really know what's going on. And
Gotcha.
but he does. I like how he makes like how I apologize to everyone. I say if I'm breaking the rules, call me on it. I'm not gonna have any hurt feelings on it, which I think that's good. But and then again says, hey, I can never practice this on my own or on the basket. Like I have to go through tournaments. So it is you just got to go through it and live it. And it just sucks that sometimes it's gonna happen on the Disc Golf Pro Tour when you have Drew Gibson on your card.
Yeah, and I know like Cupcake kind of has been around, and it's like he's buddies with different groups, but it's kind of weird to like. It is odd. It is like to just be able to like solo, like, you know what I mean? Like Gannon and his stuff, like people at least acknowledge that he's worked on it and like gave him credit. And like also when you're like one of the pinnacle of the sport, you should be held to a higher standard. But like when you're going after Cupcake, who's trying to make it out there, like, you know what I mean? Like that just kind of seems like, yeah. And it just seems awful because like, and the PDGA did a good job of highlighting it, but like, I get the anger. I understand it. And it's like, I think this is like one of the things that like Tour Life and Brody kind of really highlighted. Cause it's like, it's also funny, like people who aren't at the tournaments complain about backups. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I really kind of find that funny. Like, and I understand the drag that it does on production and like seeing it on camera and all that. But like, guys, I'm telling you, it's a lot worse when you're there. It's terrible.
For sure.
But like, that's what Tour Life and like pros speaking up has done. And like, yeah, you got to adjust. Like Gannon adjusted, and at least it acknowledges that he's made efforts.
Mm-hmm. And they even referenced, or they have quotes from him saying he's changed his putting routine up to 7 times trying to do things. He's spent, I think, like in there like hundreds of dollars on therapy and doctors trying to figure stuff out. So it does make a good case for like, hey, don't just, maybe this is where they're going, don't just cyberbully this guy, man.
Yeah.
Like, hear him out a little
Drew
bit.
didn't like take down the post?
I don't know. I'm not gonna I have no idea.
Okay. All right. I kind of hope Drew took down the post.
Man, that's like a PDGA marshal backing out, man. Like, you're gonna do it, right?
Sure, but you can't say what you say and imply what you implied about the whole Silas rap situation, diss rap, and then go and do this and like not acknowledge it or take it down because you know it might have hurt somebody.
Okay, fair.
Like, you know what I mean?
I will say on that subject, I was told that Drew was not the person to ask for the video taken down. I'm going to transition to something where I thought I got more of a talking point when I was reading this article, because I didn't think it got a lot of traction. Did you know? But did you see this? Did you see it posted? The Cupcake one.
I saw it. I didn't have time to read it.
Okay.
Yeah, but I did see it.
So you saw it scrolling, but you didn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I feel like a lot of people may have done.
Me in to click it. Yeah.
Why are we still leaning into articles to inform fans? Because it's not just this Cupcake thing. I don't know if you're aware, but the PDGA for a long ass time, and I'm sure this was a relevant thing to do at some point, but they do like write-ups for every round of the majors to recap the day's events.
Yes.
You know what would be great?
Video.
If someone did a video form of that.
Wow.
You know how many more people would probably, tens of thousands of people would probably, we should test that theory.
Yes.
Shout out to Wild Rosa for doing it.
And the craziest thing is like you could still do your article. Like, you know what I mean?
Not the script. They did. Like, probably a lot better.
You could still.
The thing is, since you already wrote the article, you can make a video.
Yes.
Think about that.
Yeah. No.
You already did a lot of the hard work. It just feels weird. Like, if you're going to be at this organization trying to draw the most amount of attention of this event, this is, again, going back to doing something different to make these events special. If the PDGA went out and made daily posts trying to make it something, that helps. And they're just posting articles.
It's even fucking worse than that, because like, how many times have we been on a tour where it's not just articles, but their idea of like promoting events or like huge highlights is the general week lead up of social media post countdown, the articles, and then the other thing is they always got somebody out there doing socials that are going to come out like 2 or 3 months later. Not even
that's the DGPT. That's even
like
weirder.
You know what I mean? But the PDGA has some of them also, like where it's like you send these people out and you're like, what happened to that video? Where is it? Where have you presented it? What have you shown of it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, where? And that's the other funny thing is they hold so many events, And like I can understand like on the pro tour being like, hey, let the pro tour handle this, or like DGBT handle this. We can take like a step back and be more of an official role. But like when you have the collegiate, when you have like juniors and you have all this, and like you have these huge events that are like parents are doing such a good job and the players are doing far better job of promoting that event than the actual PDGA. And you know what I mean? And that's the shame of it. And like, and you have all these like social media posts and they're not coming out during it. And it's like, it's late, guys. You're late to the party.
Yeah, and it sucks because there you have something here, especially when you go to the collegiate, the juniors, the masters, all of that stuff. If you tried to implement, like I don't know, go to some media people of sorts, even if you don't like us, because obviously I'm moving the joke of implying work with us, but even if you don't like us, find someone similar.
So
to us.
I think,
Go hire Wild Rose. Go.
Yeah, I think this is also the problem with our sport in general is like everybody consumes this, but we're also like we need to say like, yeah, hire us. I think we could do a better job.
Yeah.
I will say that. Like, you know what I mean? And some people, and I think too much in our sport, there's not enough people saying that stuff or saying like what could be different or, hey, let me show you what I can do. You know what I mean? Like things of that nature. It's like, so yeah, I think we could do a better job. I think this could be presented in a better way. I think it could be far greater than it should. And I think, but you also have to trust the process of not doing the traditional thing. Because the traditional things are going to do what has worked for you in the past, and it's going to give you no different results.
Oh, man, this is going to be like 30 in a row where we go through all of those other non-pro PDGA majors, but they do coverage on it, and I sit back, I'm like, dude, you're getting like 3,000 views, 5,000 views, where I know if someone else could go out there and make a video on the entire weekend of why it's cool, besides just the play itself, why there's like block parties, there's fly marks, there's opportunities to connect with other disc golfers, especially for people in these groups of older people, younger kids, collegiate people, where you're not finding a lot of other disc golfers with this main hobby and are having a hub. There's so much more to it than just, hey, here's the front nine of the collegiate national champ. Like, actually, the collegiate front's probably like the most entertaining out of them all. But of like the 9-year-old world championship, like how many people are really tuning into that? And if you are, we should be questioning that because that's kind of weird.
And man, that's the other thing. Like, what do you think like just showcasing the final is going to be it?
Like, you're not showing anything important of the event itself.
Precisely. Like, man,
disc golf media is so far behind on stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I hope we
like,
can
man, we just gotta, in part, we just gotta get off the like, guys, can we get off of single card coverage? And can we also get off of showing tap-ins? Like, I don't think we necessarily need tap-ins. You know what I mean? Go set up the other shot. Go set up, you know what I mean? Get to your other spot quicker and be more prepared. And I would rather have that's more important than seeing a tap-in. Cut to the booth. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. Where it's like you like, man, there's nothing worse than like seeing 3 pros like just one just stands there. You know what I mean? Or the one like, I'm gonna stand here and grab everybody's for them. Like, come on, dude. Like, we don't need that. And so like, and that's the stuff like I think we got to get off of. But yeah, short, daily, keep it simple, keep it engaging, and get it out there.
Yeah, totally agree. I want to then run back because we did have a major. I want to talk a little bit about the finishes itself. Just didn't want to do that all in the beginning and bore everybody. So we're going to do a little deep dive on the first, the MPO side. Obviously, Isaac Robinson, the major winner. 4th major. I heard, 4 out of the last 9 majors he's won. 2 Worlds, 2 Champions Cups now. He's on the list of, he's got in the top 10 of most majors. I think if he hits one more, he's up there for like almost the top 5, one behind Ricky. Like he's on his, he's already, he's like, all right, he's a Hall of Famer. I mean, I was in 2 World Championships, you're going to be a Hall of Famer. I get that. But like, it's like so far on the list where I think where he's so young too, where when do we start talking about, when he starts putting up like a USDGC here, or if he pulls out a European Open where he starts really building on this major resume, we could start looking at like him and Gannon being like, when does Gannon have to step up before we're like, Isaac Robinson's got a better career than you?
It's getting close. Man, it's how much do you outweigh Elite Series wins? Like,
Dude, with already
there's
2 worlds, I'm saying
there's
Isaac's
2
got the better
worlds,
career,
yeah.
man.
And like, there's no doing math of like 4 Elite Series equals
No,
1 this.
no,
Like,
no,
fuck
no.
that's noises like dumb. But like, I don't know. And I know Isaac has had like dominating major wins. This one just felt like different with what happened with Paul's blow up and like everything. We haven't even gotten into that mess.
No.
Like, just the craziness to for that to happen is just wild. And I don't want to take anything away from him. He performed, he delivered in a putt. Even when it was close on 17, he hits that huge putt. You know what I mean? He had moments out there, but like things kind of lined up pretty well for him in this event. And like I said, he's done dominating performances also in other majors. So I'm not taking away. You win and presented with what's ahead of you. You can't control other people's outcomes, but like it's wild. It is his last 4 wins, all majors. there is something to be said. Is like his best is playing in those pressure moments, and I don't know. He says he doesn't do anything different. I don't know how it translates. Like it does.
Maybe that one more round is he always is very consistent. He's not putting out a crazy amount of hot rounds, but he'll always be right there, top 5 rounds, and then those stack up. And day by day,
Yeah,
you just take what you're given. And I mean, when I'm looking at his stats, I'm like, man, Isaac Robinson probably looks at this tournament and is like, I didn't do good, but I won a major. Like Circle 1, 78%. That's not an Isaac Robinson putting stat that we are normally at, right? Being at Circle 1 regulation 38% of the time, that's not an Isaac Robinson stat. So I feel like even to show like, yes, it was like more like, I hate to say like, I don't even know, because you're right about the weirdness of like,
that's what I was about to say. Like,
underperform
I think
it?
everybody for the bulk like left that event being like, I didn't play my best. Or
Maybe
like,
something with like the wind was
it
actually
had
a
to
lot
have been the
crazier
wind,
than what we
man.
saw.
Yeah,
from
it had to,
here,
like-
especially with the amount of tight OB there was, and just trickling there adds out with strokes fast.
And we've also seen like at stops like the effects of like crosswinds and like discs and like what it does to. Now we've also argued like I think you and me like pros spend way too much time considering wind, but like also like but when it's that strong, it does take shape. And when you have water carries and you have tight OB and yeah, things are gonna happen and like it just kind of stacks. Like now, should they happen to like Paul's extent? No, but like everybody, like, you know, AB had some weird rounds. Like everyone up top. Gannon had like what a horrible day 2, I think it was, like where he had like 2 under. You know?
AB and Gannon both had rounds where they were both 2 under, and I think Gannon had one that was 4 down. So I'm sure he's punching himself in the leg right now for, even though he took a 4th place. For not as good of a tournament Gannon had, still 4th place. Want to put that out there.
Yeah.
Anthony Burrell, 2 solid final round, 8 down, pushing him up. I think he made plenty of mistakes too that final round, even not even having a bogey. I still think that there were times where he's looking back like, how did I make that mistake in that situation? Like the big eagle hole where he's hitting early as hell. Where it almost felt like after round 3's roller that was like a walk in the park for him.
Yeah.
So it just seems like situations where like maybe that major pressure really got to the people.
It could be that, man. I feel like that's hard to believe for us because, like, in the grand scheme of things, these guys aren't really acting different. The crowd's a little bit different. The title and the check probably is different, but like, come on, AB and Gannon have been there before. You know what I mean? Like, all of them have been there before. Paul's been there before. I think like wind, maybe a little bit of nerves, and then like. Just that constant of like that pressure of like, okay, I need this one, you know what I mean? And like having to deliver on a nice shot. And like, it also kind of goes to show like this course, for as much as criticism that it got, there was plenty of times, like if you were out of position or like if you went OB, a lot of people like would stack OBs like on the same hole, like, you know what I mean? So like getting out of position is kind of like really troublesome on this course, especially with the carries. So, and it's kind of funny because like everybody criticizes it and everyone says it looks the same and everything along that. And like Brody's a huge component of what carries can do. And here you have it. And it plays out like he explains, but it also doesn't as far as the fandom. You know what I mean? Where it's just not the same. So I don't know. I think this will always be a spot. I think it deserved a major. It played out odd. A lot of things happened. But overall, I think it was a win for California, for Swenson. I think you couldn't ask for much better. You know what I mean? Even with the mess of the Latt and the mess of Paul and all that. Like,
well, I think if you take the Latt whole football situation away, it was really felt like a controversy free event.
Yeah.
And it was tight to the end for both FPO and MPO. So it had the excitement on a course that was very much questionable at the beginning, where a lot of fans were talking shit about it because it wasn't this wooded thing. And I think that if you take that away as well, if you took out like this is supposed to be a wooded major, you just look hey, this is Swenson Disc Golf Park. We're gonna play in California. Walking away from that, very happy with the event.
Absolutely. I mean, and I can't wait for like the endless amount of foot fault calls that we get for the rest of the year, or at least 4 weeks.
Do you think we'll get any?
Like, yeah, oh, bro, oh my gosh, like the like ticker tape parade of like every MPO, FPO. Here's this one. What about this one?
Oh,
this
you're saying like fans?
Yeah,
oh, I
dude,
think meant like
everyone.
okay,
No officials, but it's gonna be everywhere.
Yes,
like, oh, we're
I
not
do
calling
agree.
this one.
I do agree.
Here's this. Same with like the jump putt. Like whenever somebody catches one flag, then it usually takes that one where it's like, nope, your guys are wrong. Like it's the Proctor one, right? And then everyone dies down. This dude's right. It's still not dying down, and everyone's calling out, or like the rest of them. So it's gonna get until it gets tiresome, but everyone will kind of be fun. I think that we'll enjoy that part of it. There was some bad ones though, but man, also part of me like kind of goes like how do you at Waco everyone's like, oh, that wasn't like, it was just a bad camera angle. Like how much of it is like bad camera angles?
Oh, for footballs and
and stuff like that. Like like don't get me wrong, like Page's like kicking the disc doesn't help.
Yeah, it's funny how fast people were on that already. Where it's like, hey, Missy, the next like couple whatever, like soon was off her foot.
Yeah,
people were questioning that one, and then there was the Ancient Mar
can
we'd find around.
Can I also like be real of like let's kind of like let's do this. Let's have a little fun with it. Let's fucking reenact. Do you want to be Kristin or do you want to be the marshal? Let's reenact like what's going on with everything in everybody's head in this scenario.
Okay,
so
I'll be the dude. I'll be Marshall.
You'll be the marshal.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So this is I'll be the narrator. I'll set the stage. This is what I think happened. He sees the disc move,
and I'm like,
football, right? Boom, disc move. Hey, and I'm Kristin. Hey, did the disc leave before the disc move? Did my disc leave my hand before the disc move? Yeah, precise. This is where the dude completely forgot. Like he was focused on just that disc moving, and then just being like, "Oh shit." Like, you know,
I think so.
Yeah. So that's what I find funny. That's what I think completely happened. He made a rule. I saw the mini move. That's a foot fault. Boom. Not the rule, but that's what, you know what I mean? And now everybody's going to do that. Like, you know what I mean? Oh, that move. Oh, this. Oh, that. And that's what's going to be kind of funny. And Kristin put him on his place and was like, how about this? And he was like, oh. And then he's like, well, how am I supposed to do that? Allegedly.
Yeah, I think he was put in a tough spot where he was like, oh shit, you're right. And it's like, well, how are you supposed to do both, man?
Like, I just don't know how, like, hey, did you see my disc move? Now let's do the reverse. I'll be the marshal. You do this. You can say, hey, you're Kristin.
Yeah. You see my disc move?
Yep.
Damn.
See how fucking simple it is?
All right, cool.
That's simple. Like, you know what I mean? Like, are you sure? Yep.
I'd be like, all right, dope. Are you really sure? Like, what are you supposed to hit him with?
How many times are we gonna do this? Like, you know what I mean? But yeah,
I think my favorite part of the story is I heard that after that the dude just could not be seen.
Yeah,
he just left.
I would. Bro, oh man,
I don't want a story going after me. That's the best part.
That's
He's gonna be the.
That's also a whole nother reason. Like that's why you stand on it and be like, nah, this happened. Like you gotta be the dude that like stood up to Nico and be like, get puffy chested if you gotta do it. Like, nope. It happened.
Get puffy chested to Kristin.
I guess that sounds bad.
Get her Facebook. Hey, I make the calls here.
That sounds really aggressive, doesn't it? But like, yeah, just be like, nah, it happened.
Yeah, you do have to own it. That is like your one job. If you make the call, you're supposed to do that with confidence. No.
Yeah.
Really awkward for you not to be like, yeah, I made the call here. especially that's standing. You're penalizing the player. You have to expect there's going to be some pushback.
Yeah, it is a penalty. It's not like a warning. It's like
I'm
no.
in this right now. I hate all the people that are saying some things about like collusion and that, and I hate that's such a stupid talk because no one
don't start that. We're just getting betting, guys. Like don't fucking start
Thank
that.
God there's no betting.
Thing. I
didn't want to go too in on that because there was no betting, so there's no reason to talk about it. But how convenient for that. PDGA knew something. Shit, there was collusion. Fuck.
They won that one. They won.
Do you think that was the PDGA coming in saying like we don't want the betting, or is that the betting sites?
Ooh, good question. I kind of feel like. Yeah, I think it was just like they didn't have enough time approval to run it or something like that. Like, you know what I mean?
Maybe.
I don't think like they're like fighting for dollars. Yeah, maybe something like that. Also, there might be like, you know what I mean? You're kind of like tied to a lot of rules on that. But man, they were fortunate. They were real fortunate, especially placing and like, oh man. Yeah, it would have been gross.
Yeah.
Don't even like hint at that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, come on. Like, you really think there's like that level of like in our sport? Kristin of like, you know what I mean? Like Missy of all people, major prior winners going to do like, come on. Like,
yeah. No, I agree.
And like, especially if you, never mind.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I do want to end though. I want to do like a brief recap of the FPO. I think it was cool to see Paige Pierce make a resurgence. She does this on this course, so I don't know if I'm going to be too expecting of her in moving forward, or maybe this was her really starting to come with the injury. She's starting to feel herself better, but I think this is.
I feel like we say this every time she comes out.
No, I was gonna say like I think it's just her going to be a course she's comfortable with and that has advantages to the way that she throws.
I think also like this is a stop that makes her feel comfortable. Like I think she's got people, like the environment. She's got like she's sponsored by them. She's got places to all of that.
It was sad to see both Silva drop from the top where she seemed like it was going to be a performance of the lifetime for her, and also Holland Hanley was expected to be like the battling of Kristin for the majors to come and not really ever being in contention at all.
No, and her streak ended of podium finishes, and that's kind of a bummer. But Kat Mertz is held top 10.
Oh.
She's still on her top 10.
Well, Holland's she can just rock top 5s now.
Yeah, I guess it just steps down, but when you have Latt who still has the podium, that kind of loses it.
Ooh, that is true.
So
that is true, but not the major.
Yeah,
so she's still got time to go.
True.
Then the last thing I really want to talk about the FPO because I saw things about this on social media, and I understand that the narrative can be. And I said this word wrong, and someone always comments that I say this word wrong. Asterisks. Is there an asterisk?
Asterisk?
Is there an asterisk on this Missy major victory? Right? I think no either. And the media is the one that really gets to dictate it because if you harp on it, then it could become something. But even in our video, it was very clear like, yo, this is over. We're done talking about this.
Yeah.
Didn't change the results of anything.
In large part, Missy's performance and her win came as much as on day 3 as it did on the final day. Getting that lead, maintaining it, having a 5-stroke. And like, I don't want to say like pros like let off on the gas, but like when you have a lead at a certain point in the round, you're not necessarily like trying to attack birdies. You're trying to like not make mistakes. And like, so there is opportunities to like come back when you're down 5-6 under, you know what I mean? And like, I think too many people view that as close. And I understand like a single stroke is a single stroke. I get that, but you still had 2 holes to play. And I know there's opportunity there, and I know there's carries, and I know there's this, and I know there's that. But like, yeah, like I think that kind of happens, and people like view it as a chase down, and it's like, you know what I mean? It's just common. So as common as like Vinny having a great final day to get into the top 10. Like, that's just like it happens. Like, so she was in control, you know what I mean? And when she needed to deliver, she delivered. Period. Like, and then she won another major, her second back-to-back years with a major. You know what I mean? Missy has like gone from like pleasant surprise, shockingly winning Champions Cup to like being a major player in the FPO. We're talking about the #1 DGBT last year. You know what I mean? Like, to like, and I feel like a lot of people still kind of want to just be like, oh, she just plays at big events. Like, how come we like herald and put like on a pedestal like Isaac, and then here's Missy doing similar things, and it's just like big time Missy, like,
Yeah.
like it's just kind of like she needs to get credit. She delivers.
She will now after winning the first major of the season, Champions Cup. That's all you really got to know from it, though. That was the entire event. If you want a more brief recap of everything you could possibly need to know, check out the video from yesterday. We break down every single DGPT and PDGA event. But before we end this, everyone local, make an announcement now. Shout out your people too. We're having a local doubles tournament, Disc Golf World's very first tournament. So if you want to support, come out, play in the event, or if you can't come to our area and you want to still support, we have opportunities to donate CTPs. We have other T-sign sponsorships, whatever possible way. We're trying to have an absolute blast here. We're not only going to do like a tournament for a big prize pool for the winner on the professional disc doubles side of things, but on the amateur side of things, you're going to have a CTP on every single hole, ace bounties, eagle bounties, and plenty of other ways to win prizes. So definitely recommend signing up. And we have a collaboration beer with a local brewery, so you're gonna get a Disc Golf World beer coming at you. So another reason to stop by, even if you don't want to play.
Future sponsors also right here.
If you want
Petty Cup.
a way to be featured on Disc Golf World, this is the easiest way. You can be sitting right there on our podcast, and that goes
Dyers, man. Can we get like some dyers? Yeah, like
anything and everything.
Yeah.
We're just really trying to make it a blast. There'll be a video on it. You're going to get featured in all of that. And we're just, like I said, trying to do something for our local community and support the disc golfers out there doing their thing.
And you get out to be in the world.
Yeah,
Like,
everyone wants to be on the world.
Absolutely. Sick.
Appreciate y'all. See you guys in the next one.